Okay, what we're looking at is deafness as a culture and deafness as a disability, and how people refer to them as two distinctly different things, and we're going to look at those two as we continue through on this chapter. And kind of, what we look at is the culture that is being deaf, the same as, I might be Irish and somebody else might be German, or they might be Italian, and seeing them as just people who, they just communicate in a different way, the same as I speak English, but somebody else might speak Italian. One of the large themes in this chapter, depending on all the different stories that we see, is what do parents do once they realize that they're stuck with this choice of how do I help my child who is now deaf? Do I allow them to have language in sign language, or do I give them the ability to hear with cochlear implants? The big struggle for children who are born deaf, particularly to those parents who are hearing, is the language acquisition. And young children who have deaf parents already and they themselves are deaf, they pick up language a lot quicker because the parents are already signing with. And it is such a tough decision for parents. Do I allow my child to have a surgery? The early surgeries weren't great. You were hearing primitive sounds. It wasn't tremendous sounds with the cochlear implants. And so a lot of people felt like there was an eradication of deaf culture coming. What we saw throughout the chapter was a lot of parents who were of hearing. They look at their child with this handicap and they struggle to communicate with them, and it puts a great strain on the relationship. And the parents tend to look at the deafness as a handicap, whereas the kids, as they get older, see it as more of a culture. And many people feel that by parents automatically opting for the surgery for their children to be able to hear through the cochlear implants, they're taking away that person's opportunity to choose. But you also, in the process, are in the long run getting rid of deaf culture, because these kids are no longer going to be deaf. Some people look at it as, well, the deaf culture, in American Sign Language itself might be slowly disappearing and going away, but it's the same as any other cultures around the world and languages around the world that are slowly disappearing as the older generations pass on. The last kind of piece that the book would hint on, especially going through the stories, is what do we consider deaf? Is it a culture, or is it a disability, or is it both? Because if you look at it more as a culture and you take away the disability aspect of it, you take away things like closed captioning on TV and YouTube. So that becomes kind of the theme of the chapter, is deafness as a culture compared to deafness as a disability. Can we have both of them at the same time? With new technology, what is happening to the deaf culture and how we respond to that in the future.
Created using Powtoon.